Hello and welcome to the Babbling School podcast. In this episode, we will be reading part 2 of the most famous African legend, the story of the 13th century king of the Mali Empire named Sunjata. If you haven't heard part 1, you can go back to the last episode and give it a listen. Again, this retelling of the traditional legend is based on a modern adaptation by Justine and Ron Fontes. Before you get into reading, please consider subscribing to this channel to hear more stories from around the world. Last time we heard from Sunjata, he had just been healed from childhood illness and was almost killed by his jealous family. Before we continue with the story, here's some vocabulary you may find useful while listening. To spare. To refrain from killing or hurting. For example, the enemy attacked the village and killed all of the warrior men, but spared women and children. S-P-A-R-E. Spare. To encounter. To meet unexpectedly. For example, on the way home, he encountered his old childhood friend. E-N-C-O-U-N-T-E-R. Encounter. Alliance. Relationship based on similarity of interests or qualities. For example, his country joined an alliance with other European states. A-L-L-I-A-N-C-E. Alliance. To bid farewell. To say goodbye. For example, she bid farewell to her parents and moved out to live independently. B-I-D-F-A-R-E-W-E-L-L. To bid farewell. Merchant. A professional salesperson, especially one who travels. For example, he visited many countries as a textile merchant. M-E-R-C-H-A-N-T. Merchant. To abandon. To stop supporting. To leave someone or something without help. For example, she was abandoned by her father at an early age. A-B-A-N-D-O-N. Abandon. Troops. Soldiers, especially working in a group. For example, he served in the military among UN peacekeeping troops. T-R-O-O-P-S. Troops. To survey. To observe or examine closely. For example, climate scientists keep surveying global temperature statistics. S-U-R-V-E-Y. Survey. To catch somebody red-handed. To catch someone in the act of doing something wrong. For example, she caught the thief red-handed trying to steal her wallet and called the police. R-E-D-H-A-N-D-E-D. Red-handed. Sorcerer. A wizard. For example, Merlin was one of the most powerful legendary sorcerers. S-O-R-C-E-R-E-R. Sorcerer. Unfazed. Not upset or not disconcerted by something. For example, despite her daughter's screams, she remained unfazed and refused to buy her candy. U-N-F-A-Z-E-D. Unfazed. Rooster. An adult male chicken. For example, in large-scale farms, many roosters get claws removed from their feet. R-O-O-S-T-E-R. Rooster. To stumble. To trip and lose balance while walking. To almost fall. For example, because he was very drunk, he stumbled while walking up the stairs. S-T-U-M-B-L-E. Stumble. To flourish. to develop in a healthy and fast way. For example, her confidence really flourished after she began her acting career. Flourish, flourish. Even though the witches had spared Sunjata, Sogolon knew that her son was in great danger. She decided to leave the Mandan kingdom with her children. She knew she couldn't come back until it was time for Sunjata to fulfill his destiny. Together they walked for many miles and many years. Most tribes they encountered were kind to travelers. Only one Mansa would not accept Monday visitors. The king of Soso, Sumanguru, is marching on Monday land, and I will not make an enemy of him for a stranger's sake, he told them. Finally, Sogolon and her children reached the kingdom of Nema. The Mansa of Nema, King Tonkara, welcomed Sunjata like the son he had never had. He adopted Sunjata and taught him on how to rule and how to be a great warrior. Fight hard when you have to, but build alliances whenever you can, Tonkara told him once. The king taught Sunjata that Mansa Nari's spirit would guide him back to his ancestral land, and that one day there would be a sign for him to go back. Years later, the family visited a marketplace where they encountered a group of merchants selling traditional Monday produce. Sunjata asked about their homeland, and the merchants told him that when the king of Soso, Sumanguru, advanced on Monday territory, Mansa Dankaran immediately ran away, abandoning his people. The merchants told him, "We've been looking for you, Sunjata, as you're the only one left who can face Sumanguru, the sorcerer king of Soso." This was the sign Sunjata had been waiting for. He set out on a journey home, and King Tonkara gave him some of his troops as a farewell gift. On his way back to Mandan, Sunjata gathered many more soldiers, who were glad to join him in a war against Sumanguru. Sunjata learned that because of his magical powers, King Sumanguru could only be killed by magical means. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Soso, Sunjata's old griot, Balafasake, had not forgotten about his former master. From the very moment he arrived at Sumanguru's court, he also tried his best to find out as much as he could about him. As soon as he arrived, Sumanguru greeted him and promised that Balafasake would be able to use all manner of musical instruments, except for one, the balafon, a mythical instrument rumored to be a gift directly from the genies, made of pure magic. However, Balafasake could not help himself, and one day, when Sumanguru was out hunting, Balafasake dared to sneak into the cave where the king kept his balafon and started playing. That's when Sumanguru came home and caught Balafasake red-handed, listening to him play the balafon beautifully. At first, he wanted to kill him, but then he decided that he couldn't kill someone who could play music as beautifully as Bala did. Instead of killing him, Sumanguru made Bala his griot for life. Sumanguru knew about Sunjata's growing army. Each night, magical owls flew from his tower to survey the land. In the tower he had a cauldron with a giant magic snake inside, which he used to make magic potions. Meanwhile, Bala kept trying to find out Sumanguru's magical weakness. "You are so invincible, my lord," he would say. "How comforting it must be that you cannot be killed." One day, Balafasake got lucky and got an answer out of him. "That is not exactly true," Sumanguru said. "There is one thing that can kill me, but who would ever think of using the claw of a white rooster?" Balafasake was overjoyed to finally know the king's secret. He decided to sneak out at night and find Sunjata to tell him about it. That same night, Samanguru sent out some troops to test Sunjata's strength, and found that Sunjata fought well. Then he sent a larger army, and again saw Sunjata bravely lead his men into battle. Then Sunjata challenged him directly. "Fight me man to man, sorcerer, or do you fear the son of Mansanare and Sogolon, sister of the buffalo woman?" shouted Sunjata. Samanguru just laughed. "Compared to you, I am the moon," the sorcerer shouted back. "Then I am the darkness in the corner that stays dark no matter how bright the moon shines," replied the young warrior. "Then I am the broom that sweeps the corner," said Samanguru. "Then I am the spark that burns the broom," roared back Sunjata. "Return what is mine or die by my hand." Sunjata was not afraid, but he wondered how he could ever defeat such a powerful sorcerer. Then he received a special visitor, his old friend Balafasake. Bala wasted no time telling Sunjata about the white rooster claw. Sunjata could now hope for a swift victory. At dawn, both armies clashed in battle. Sunjata fought bravely and made straight for Samanguru with a bow. They met again, face to face, and Samanguru again tried to scare Sunjata into giving in. "Your foolish courage is wasted on a battle you cannot win. For the last time, give up or die," he yelled, but Sunjata remained unfazed. Samanguru noticed the bow in Sunjata's hands and laughed. "Do you think you can knock down a tower with a toothpick?" Sunjata shot the first arrow, which barely scraped Samanguru's skin. At first, the sorcerer looked at Sunjata with amusement, thinking he was unhurt, but then realized that his powers were fading quickly. He looked down and saw that the arrowhead which had scraped him was made of a white rooster's claw. Terrified, Samanguru mounted his horse and sped toward the cave where he kept his balafon, hoping to save himself by playing the magical instrument. But as he was shrinking and falling apart, Samanguru stumbled into the cave, and no trace of the great sorcerer was ever found. Sunjata went on to become a great Mansa. He united many Mande kings into the greatest empire Africa had never known. Under Sunjata's rule, justice, peace, and trade flourished. It was truly a golden age. Thank you for listening to the legend of Sunjata, the Lion King. What did you think of this legend? What other stories, movies, or plays does this story remind you of? Tune back in for the next episode of the Babbling School podcast. Subscribe and goodbye.